You know, the transparency is a very vital part of the board working. The transparency around the rules, about the responsibility of each board member or the top officials of the company. That must be very clear to all, very clear to the person who is working also. Then accountability is also another very important aspect, and accountability with the stakeholders, the engagement of the stakeholders in the decision making.
Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because we're joined by someone whose career is a fusion of science, sustainability, and spiritual depth. Dr. Yogeshwari Ashwanikumar Bhat. Dr. Yogeshwari, you've spent over 3 decades driving large-scale infrastructure at JNPT while simultaneously nurturing ecological awareness and mentoring the next generation, not just in classrooms, but in consciousness too. That's not something we come across so often. And it shows from planning port infrastructure and eco-sensitive zones to shaping sustainable development discourse across institutions. Your journey bridges the operational with the deeply intentional. So it is my pleasure to welcome you to FaceTime with Leaders. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you, Priya.
Right. So, Dr. Yogeshwari, without further ado, let's get started. Dr. Yogeshwari, you've worn many hats over the years: consultant, engineer, educator, spiritual mentor. But how did it all begin for you? Take us through your journey in your own words. What shaped your path, and what were those moments that truly defined who you are today?
Basically, Priya, I'm a spiritually oriented person and strongly believe in sustainability. I joined JNPT way back in 1992. JNPT is such a organization believes in sustainable development, and that's a need of the hour. So when you adhere to the sustainability principles in life, in working, that gives a huge change or shift in your attitude towards working, and the overall impact on the society, on the nature is always a positive thing. I joined JNPT way back in 1992. I got exposure to work in all fronts of infrastructure development like roads, yards, marine structures, railway part of the port, even maintenance of the structures also. This also covered the contract management part, bid preparations, RFPs, RFQs, based on the PDIC documents, you can say. And
Right.
that helped me create a standard documentation for various ISO procedures that
Okay.
JNPT adopted. Since childhood, I have loved nature, and I found JNPT, the port, a very interesting workplace for me with an ocean of knowledge to learn and work with. Environmental safeguards are an integral part of any project execution. We can't escape that. So I started paying more attention to these parameters while doing my work, and by studying it, by acquiring the additional knowledge in that, then from that point of view, and from that quest, you can say, I completed masters in environmental ecology. And along with
Okay.
that, I also completed diploma in environmental law, because environmental law is such a crucial part of working,
Mhm.
especially civil engineering. Environmental safeguard is very essential. So that led me towards in-depth PhD studies about my own port and how it developed sustainably since its inception.
Right.
Uh, the first EIA of JNPT was prepared in 1981. So
Oh,
it was a very knowledgeable site for me to work as well as to study also. And my office was very helpful for me for my study, my endurance in this field. So I proactively got involved in various environmental related matters like green port initiatives or preparation of coastal zone management plan. Even I have been given exposure to handle the arbitrations and the environmental legal matters, land use planning also. I call myself very lucky to have have a chance to work in my favorite fields while keeping my core values of sustainability in place in works also. So it was a
Right.
great pleasure to work with JNPT. I worked there for more than 2 decades, so you can say 25 years, and then I opted
Yeah.
VRS for my son's studies.
Right. Uh, Dr. Yogeshwari, you mentioned you've spent over 3 decades driving large scale infrastructure at JNPT while simultaneously nurturing ecological awareness and mentoring the next generation, not just in classrooms, but in consciousness too. And that's not something that we come across often. And it shows from planning port infrastructure and eco sensitive zones to shaping sustainable development discourse across institutions. Your journey bridges the operational with the deeply intentional. So, thank you for your response. Dr. Yogeshwari, it's incredible how each chapter in your path has been rooted in such depth and conviction, and it really sets the tone for what's to come in this conversation. Dr. Yogeshwari, it's not every day that we get to speak with someone who's played a direct role in shaping the environmental narrative at a national level. Being part of the Green Port Initiative, that's not just a position, it's a responsibility that carries the weight of impact far beyond policy. Could you take us through what that experience meant to you personally and what kind of systemic changes you were able to influence during that time?
Well, as I mentioned, JNPT has become a very good field for me to work, to study, to acquire knowledge, to share my knowledge, to make others involved in sustainability aspects. JNPT has been taking care of the environmental and social aspects since beginning, as I told. And I
Right.
noted that many of the stakeholders, even the industry people, they feel that environmental safeguarding ends with the tree plantation only. Okay, and but there are so many other vital aspects involved when we talk about in terms of green port, and that brings the authorities' attention to all sustainability related parameters like environmental management, mitigation and adaptation measures, clean energy use, then pollution control like air pollution, water pollution, marine water pollution, even noise is a sort of pollution, soil pollution, and the measures for conservation of the marine ecology is an important aspect as far as the seaport is concerned. JNP, JNPT has monitored all these parameters since 1992. You know, we have a huge database for the environmental parameters monitoring with us, and JNPT takes adequate measures to uh, correct the whatever non-compliance we find during monitoring. And this is a very good aspect. I'm being a spiritual seeker and staunchly believe that the environmental and social aspects are part of sustainability and spirituality. So, hence, after acquiring my master's, I got involved in activity working on the sustainability area since 2005. You know, we are the first to create the coastal zone management plan. It's so important to earmark the coastal zones on your land for a seaport, and we have done it very effectively with the help of IIT Bombay. And after that, we have created the environmental management and monitoring plan, and we organized Green Port Conference also. So JNPT had given ample opportunities to me to handle all these areas effectively, and that was a great, you can say, an opening for a engineer like me to work in diversified area of environment and sustainability. The core development activities and land use uh, are totally based on the coastal zone management plan. Even mangrove protection is a vital aspect that we follow wholeheartedly. The creation of environmental seal was an very important milestone for the port's sustainability measures and our continuous monitoring and interaction with our major stakeholders, like the private terminal operators of JNPT and tank farm operators. They have their tanks storing oil and petroleum products in the port vicinity. They are all part of our environmental monitoring and environmental measures that we used to take. Then they have created a homogeneous atmosphere to share the responsibility for sustainable development of JNPT. The port operations of JNPT are uh, taking place in a sustainable way. Even the ISO certification of 14001 has been an outcome of the dedicated efforts that we put from the port side, and our all our stakeholders, they are also equally involved in this. The journey was not so easy. Initially it was, we used to convince the contractors, we used to teach the contractors about their role in environmental safeguarding and other environmental aspects they must follow. But as far as our stakeholders are concerned, they are the international players in shipping industry. They are proactive in environmental safeguards, and they are very cooperative. They join us very wholeheartedly, you can say. So my involvement in the development of APEC, Antwerp Port and JNPT, together they have created a training center, and we impart training to the port officials in the training center. That is a part of sustainability, I can say, and that is a very important aspect, because training is one of the core activity that keeps you upgrading your knowledge, and in that can reflect in your working also.
Okay. Thank you for your response, Dr. Yogeshwari, and that's incredibly inspiring. The kind of clarity and conviction you brought to the table really comes through. Dr. Yogeshwari, with such a rich journey across public service and sustainability, starting your own firm must have come from a very personal space. Founding Shinvo Consultancy feels like a story of purpose more than just a profession. I would love to know, what was the deeper vision behind it? What gap did you see in the ecosystem that you felt compelled to address?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I opted VRS in 2017 to give quality time to my son for his education,
Right.
and for my spiritual practice also. I spent some time with me, and after that, my Guru Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji advised me to use the knowledge what I gathered in around 2.5 decades. I must use my knowledge for the society, for the betterment of the working environment, as far as civil and environmental works are going on around. So I started my own consultancy firm, giving time to my own space, to my son. Also, I was involved in uh, I was associated with many consultancy firms, you can say, like Stoop Consult, FaceTime. And I used to work with them as an environmental expert, and also was involved in imparting my knowledge with various training institutes like Yashada and APEC Training Center of JNPT. Government officers, they are having the responsibility to give some good decisions on environmental aspects regarding the works, or regarding there are so many areas where environmental safeguarding is necessary, and these top level bosses, they need to have a good knowledge about the environmental parameters. So, environmental process like environmental impact assessment for any project, that is a must for any civil engineering or developmental activity. You can say. They need to have the basic information how the environmental impact assessment is being done, how to use
Right.
during the execution of the project, how to take decision based on the EMP carried out for a project. And as far as coastal area is concerned, The officers should know about the coastal regulation zones and its management.
True.
It's very essential. So I used to impart, still I impart my knowledge in this area to the government officers. And I feel it is essential to share my experience and knowledge because that helps the actual, you can say, working experience is very important than the knowledge that is given in the books.
Thank you for your response, Dr. Yogeshwari. That really hits home, and it's amazing how you've channeled experience into purpose so seamlessly. Dr. Yogeshwari, when I was going through your academic work, I was struck by how deeply embedded your research is in real world challenges, especially the environmental complexities of ports and coastal zones. From your PhD to your published papers, there's this unwavering focus on protecting marine ecosystems, whether it's ballast to water threats or dredging impacts. I'd love to hear what kept you so committed to this cause over the years.
Well, environmental study is it is involved in civil engineering part, civil engineering, you can say. But since childhood, I have learned for plants, trees, birds, animals around me. My parents created a special space in my heart about the nature. So that was there always in my back of mind that I should do higher studies in this field. So after completion of engineering, I joined JNPT and slowly I started studying about the environment and ecology. And for my master's thesis, uh, the research paper, even for my environmental law studies, the uh, the thesis was totally focused on the marine water pollution and the ballast water related threats. These are the biggest threats for the ocean, and these topics that need to be addressed and the mitigation measures are required to be implemented on priority. Because the whole marine environment is at stake. Which,
Correct.
and the marine environment is a cradle for the first life of the earth, and it's in danger. The effects of pollution are becoming irreversible. One third of the ocean is filled with plastic and other pollutants. The ports and harbor related activities such as movement of ship, cargo handling, even the other activities, even the accidents taking place in the sea, they are creating a huge pollution in the sea itself, and that is very dangerous for the marine life. My PhD subject was uh, research subject was the sustainable development of JNPT. JNPT developed in a very sustainable way. Their construction from the construction started in late 80s and it's completed in around 89. The port became operational. During the construction time also and after operational phase, the JNPT environmental safeguard or the inclination towards uh, protection of the environment is very, very, you can say, commendable. And I had taken this topic for my studies, that how I have completed my PhD in 2015, and I studied how the port developed sustainably last 25 years. So that gave me a clear insight about various aspects like dredging that is taking place in the port, even cargo hand, how it impacts the marine water quality, even the port's air quality, noise quality, and how we take the impact of all this pollution, how how JNPT uh, does the mitigation measures, the adaptation measures, how we have
Right.
covered the port. More than one third of the area of the port is covered with a lush green area, you can say. And all the sustainability measures I studied in depth and concluded in a better way. So, IIT Bombay's professors were my guide. Amit is a university, Chennai University, located in Chennai, and I completed my PhD over there. It's a Marine University, you can say. So that was a very fantastic experience for me, and I used all this knowledge in my day-to-day working with the JNPT. Even today, also I am using that knowledge. So, what I already mentioned that my academic and professional journey has always been aligned with my spiritual values, and it was a great opportunity that JNPT has given me to focus on studying the real world impact of marine ecosystems, and the port sustainability, the coastal management that I could use in day to day working that I already mentioned. My belongingness to the environment kept me motivated all the time. This is a great space to reflect, not just on the study findings, but on the emotional and intellectual commitments on the path on which I am traveling. Such type of studies, when you are with nature, when you are finding the actual impact of your working on the nature, then you always remain alert in your whatever steps you are taking in your life. That I believe most in that. Studies about the environment and ecology also are called as life sciences, which are the basics of humanity as well as the whole life cycle on the earth. It's not just something different that the divinity what we always search for. You know, these in-depth studies are helping me today also, even when I teach MBA students uh, of port and shipping. That helps me a lot. Even I am a reviewer for the articles that Institute of Civil Engineers London received, and I use my knowledge, my working knowledge, and the studies I have done when I analyze, when I go through the research papers and give my comments on.
Thank you for your response, Dr. Yogeshwari, and that's incredibly inspiring. It's rare to see such a seamless blend of scientific depth and emotional investment. You've truly made research feel alive. Looking at everything you've contributed so far, I can't help but wonder, what does the road ahead look like for you? Whether it's continuing to shape policy, guiding the next generation, stepping into boardrooms where decisions shape our environmental future. What are some of the aspirations you're holding close as you move forward?
Well, a very good question you have asked, basically, Priya. This boardroom decisions or whatever decisions any company takes, you know, that has a very uh, vast impact on as far as the social and environmental aspects are concerned. What I am observing and uh, still observe that implementation of sustainability measures is still felt as a barrier to the profitability of the business. Many houses, they feel like that. And compassion towards nature and creatures is always kept aside. You know, they don't give much attention to this. There are few industries or few business houses, they are very much into sustainability and their safeguard to environment. But a large chunk of business world needs, as far as India is concerned, they need to have a proper directions and proper involvement in sustainability mindset. The business world has yet to know and fully understand the necessity of these aspects. You know, and just obtaining the certification has become a routine part, but obtaining such certifications like ISO 14001 or any other ESG related fulfillment must be taken very seriously. It's not just a paperwork we need to complete, but it's proper implementation of the various laws, rules that has been created by the government that safeguard the environment and the social aspect that board or the board members or the company needs to follow with full compliance, wholehearted. That is very much necessary. This is possible when it is possible when the board members or the top officials of the company, they are well aware about what is the concept of sustainable development, and they must learn. Learning and implementing All these parameters, all these principles of sustainability in day-to-day life will help to have better decisions that will not only help the society, it will help to maintain the status of environment and create a win-win situation between earning profit, having a good business, and at the same time maintaining the status quo of the environment and in a sustainable way. You know, the important decisions must safeguard the environmental and social aspect and the economics involved. We should not see that the profitability may get affected if we give more attention to sustainability aspects. So we should not think in that way. You know, that is a need of the hour that many of the board of directors and other officials who are involved in the decision making should be aware. As a civil engineer and environmental expert, I have worked in various developmental sectors like port, roads, railways, and it's very easy for me to identify and locate the specific areas that need attention, you know, and the probable threats and risks involved in non-compliance of various aspects. And training needs for the employees and also for the stakeholders. It's very important. Training is very important aspect as I mentioned earlier also. Not only for the employees, for the stakeholders of the company also. We need to give proper training in sustainability for the sustainability aspects. Even the utilization of CSR funds can be effectively dealt with having an insight into the realm of sustainability. You know, otherwise you can see the CSR funds are being utilized for sometimes for some non-specific works also. They are not directly related with sustainability or the measures to have environmental safeguard. You know, so I feel that the other development, other developed countries, the sustainability advisor shall be given equal status as a financial advisor to the company's head, you know, to ensure the company's sustainable growth. That is very much necessary. And you know, I am a dedicated volunteer and also a sustainability consultant for the Vyakti Vikas Kendra. It's the Art of Living Foundation. It's the world's biggest or largest volunteer based spiritual organization involved in the upliftment of the society as well as the environment. So I sincerely work towards bringing a shift in the thinking process of the people and who are in authority and to see the business from a different perspective and a holistic point of view without sacrificing their core intentions of development or running a business.
Powerful, Dr. Yogeshwari, your clarity of purpose and depth of commitment really shine through. When you think about corporate governance today, especially in the context of evolving environmental and ethical standards, what principles do you believe are non negotiable, and how do you see your values aligning with the kind of governance boards truly needed today?
If you seriously observe, you will find that except for a few, the corporate world has to come up with the sustainability in its core working. You know, since mere completion of the formalities and the government requirements is not sufficient to create a green atmosphere in the workplace. You know, the corporate governance is a broad spectrum and that needs to come out of the prism of human values and ethics. We can't just ignore those while doing any business. The governance framework or the frameworks are the bedrock of how a company or organization is governed and should be designed. So to ensure so many things like effective boards, the board members should be from various walks of life. They must be experienced, having the essence of sustainability in their mind while taking any decision. You know, the transparency is a very vital part of the board working. You know, that the transparency around the rules, board the responsibility of each board member or the top officials of the company, that must be very clear to all, very clear to the person who is working also. Then accountability is also another very important aspect, and the accountability with the stakeholders, the engagement of the stakeholders in the decision making, and from all these involvements, how the uh, business practices should become in a more sustainable. That should be the core idea the board should always keep in their mind. You know, then another important aspect is the governance about documentation. That is very important. Updation of that is very essential, and that always should adhere to the mission and vision of the company. That always should correlate with the mission of the company. What is a vision that company is has kept in front? That is very important. Otherwise, the decisions go heavy as far as the vision and mission part of the company is concerned. If you don't have all these aspects in your mind, then the company's policies must be in line with the relevant laws, applicable regulations, rules. One should not skip all these things for some, you can say profits or some other interest. You know, the board should always refrain from all such activities. The company's policies, as I say, should be relevant with the law and applicable rules of the country. It's also important that the governance processes or the procedures should be adequately documented. Okay, it should not have the, or you can say, one should not need a person's presence, a particular person's presence in the board or in the working of the company physically, as far as the documentation or the process part is concerned. That should be well documented, available to all concerns, so that it can be the processes, the procedures can be implemented without having any human interference also. So that is also very important. Uh, if you see the performance of any board or the decisions that they take, the best part is when they receive the best part of the decision, the best decision can come out when they receive very good quality reports. Whatever is being getting reported to the board is very important, and it should be well defined, having lots of clarity in that, and it should contain sufficient information to make a well informed decisions and to develop very good strategies about the business of the company. The company's goal can be short term, long term, and the board decision should support all the short term or long term growth and overall sustainability of the organization. So it's very important. And all the directors need to ensure that they keep themselves updated with the rules and regulations, the legislations, and that is very essential and important for the decisions that they take in the boardroom. You know, so I'll say one thing, that integrity in heart and sincerity in action can bring peace in all and every walk of life, including the board decisions also. So I strongly recommend this. Even I always think and always suggest that spiritual touch like meditation and pranayama is essential for the members of the board to maintain the mental and emotional health. So that will bring a stability in their decision making. So it improves the overall personality, you can say, and the board that always represent the company, so the company can move in a sustainable way when the board and the decision makers are very well balanced in their attitude, in their working, and in their thinking process.
Dr. Yogeshwari, that lens of combining sustainability with governance is much needed today. It's refreshing to hear someone speak of corporate responsibility with such clarity and heart. Dr. Yogeshwari, before we wrap up, I'd like to take a moment to talk about something that's brought us together today, your recent association with Directors Institute. From someone who's walked such an incredible path already, I'm curious, what has the experience of joining this community been like for you?
Yeah, there are few organizations or institutes they are working in this area, but I found that Directors Institute is a bit different than others, and they are working to bring competent people to the forefront by adequately supporting them and giving exposure to the corporate world's working. You know, grooming them in environmental aspects or sustainability aspects, then ensuring the sustainability in the governance field. The corporate world actually the corporate world needs experienced professionals having working background and adequate knowledge about sustainability. That is the need of the hour. And Directors Institute plays a good role in bringing such professionals and creating a good rapport between these professionals and the corporate world. They are trying to bring them together to create a sustainable business community. So I always appreciate the Directors Institute's efforts to bring such professionals to the corporate world. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for your response, Dr. Yogeshwari. That's so well said. It's always heartening to hear when accomplished leaders like yourself find value and connection through shared learning communities. Dr. Yogeshwari, I must say, what a compelling journey you've taken us through today, from your pioneering work in environmental governance to shaping port sustainability and now empowering organizations through strategic advisory. It's been equal parts inspiring and eye-opening. Thank you for bringing such depth, warmth, and candor to this conversation. And once again, thank you so much for joining us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be with you here today. I genuinely enjoyed the flow of the thoughtful conversation. I believe that the words spoken mirror the personality. Thank you so much.
True, true, true. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. And that's exactly the kind of leadership story we love to bring to FaceTime with Leaders, conversations that are real, reflective, and relevant. To everyone listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If today's episode made you pause, think, or even smile, we've done our job. Until next time, this is your host, Priya George, signing off. From all of us at Directors Institute, keep striving, keep leading, and keep tuning in. Thank you and take care.